Hello everyone, welcome to this lecture on the topic of dissociative disorders. As a common saying which goes around in psychiatry, that dissociative disorders are the bread and butter of a practice of a psychiatrist. These are the patients which you see from your first year in MD or DNB residency till the last day till you practice in psychiatry, particularly in this country. Besides being a problem for many psychiatrists also in curing and treating these patients themselves suffer a lot because of the disorder itself. Their family members are burdened as these disorders tend to have a chronic course if not treated adequately. So we'll try to understand this disorder first from a theoretical point of view in this lecture, and then from a practical point of view, that is in its treatment and management aspects in the second part of this lecture. So let's start. In this lecture, first we'll talk about what dissociation is, what are its related forms, a brief history of how we came to the understanding of dissociative disorders, the current nosological system and its categorization of dissociative disorders, and for the purpose of simplicity we'll divide it into dissociative disorders which has been classified as per DSM into amnesia, identity and depersonalization derealization disorders, and the second subcategory of conversion disorders in which there is motor, sensory, dissociative convulsions and speech related problems. In both these subgroup of dissociative disorders, we'll talk about their epidemiology, etiology, understanding their clinical features, some differential diagnosis and the course and prognosis of these disorders. Now let's understand what the term dissociation itself means. So dissociation is derived from the descriptions of the defense mechanism by Freud, and it is an unconscious defense mechanism. From the word itself, it means that there is loss of association, that is dissociation between various functions of the brain. So the various functions of the brain such as the memory, sensory perception, motor control, thinking are all integrated and holistically done by the body to lead to a goal directed behavior or an activity. Whenever there is a loss between this integration, it is called as dissociation. Hence, dissociative disorders has been defined by DSM-5 as this disruption in the usually integrated functions such as memory, the behavior, sense of identity or motor control. A similar related term used in DSM is the conversion, and conversion reaction has been used limited to the disruption of voluntary motor or sensory control. So here the difference between dissociation and conversion as per DSM is in the terms of voluntary or involuntary control over various brain functions, and the voluntary motor or sensory control when lost because of a pathology which is not a known neurological or medical illness is called as conversion. That is, if an individual's memory, behavior, identity or involuntary motor control is disrupted, it would be categorized as dissociation. Whereas if the voluntary motor control or sensory perception is affected and the findings are not compatible with known neurological or medical illness, this is called as conversion. Besides both of these things, conversion or dissociation can be related to traumatic experiences. Here, although dissociation and conversion have been categorized separately in DSM. Both the ICD-10 and the newer version, the 11th version of ICD, categorizes them into a single combined entity. Hence, we are talking about both of these category of disorders into the single disorders. Apart from that, even in clinics, you will see that majority of the patients come with a combination of both of these complaints. And thirdly, the management aspects of both of these group of disorders are very similar. Hence, we'll talk about both of them separately. However, their management will be discussed in a single topic. Now, talking about how we came to the understanding of dissociation. So, very early on, there were descriptions of change in identity or loss of memory for transient periods or abnormal behavior such as hysteria or pseudo seizures has been described since early ages. Before 18th century, before the understanding of various functions of the brain were evaluated by researchers, mainly the religious model or the spirit based understanding of this phenomenon was known. That is, it was because of a deity controlling it or an evil spirit entering the body, which was resulting in such abnormal behavior or loss of identity or being controlled by or possessed by an evil spirit. This was the earlier understanding. Later on, with the advancement and understanding of psychoanalysis by Freud, the role of female sexual frustration was postulated. Since the majority of these disorders and phenomenon were seen in females of young age, it was suggested that female sexual frustration led to these disorders. Freud had his most famous patient named as Anna O, which has been the biggest description of dissociative or hysterical disorders over the course of years, and his description of Anna O became a basis of our understanding of how dissociation presents, how patients react, how their symptoms change, and how the psychodynamics play a role in the presentation of these symptoms as well as in their treatment also. During the same period of mid 20th century between World War I and World War II, Jean-Martin Charcot, who is considered the father of modern neurology, in his hospital in Paris would demonstrate these patients in public. That is, he would keep a several number of patients of hysterical disorders in his inpatient setting. He would do hypnosis over them through various means and would have specific events in public to show the effects of hypnosis on these patients, making it a sort of an amazement or a public entertainment kind of thing. This led to the understanding that hypnosis had a role in the treatment of dissociation, and there were things hidden in the unconscious that led to these presentations. Because of his public demonstration of certain symptoms of pseudo seizures and hysteria, they also observed that there is divergence. That is, people who had been to his public demonstrations and seen other patients having hysterical symptoms would come back to their clinics and to the hospital in Paris with a similar set of symptoms. Hence, the role of the cultural impact or the socio-cultural effects of in these patients was known. What we now understand as modeling of symptoms or mimicking of symptoms. Later on, it was found that these patients who were kept in Charcot's hospital in Paris had a large proportion of patients who had significant trauma in them, that is trauma in the form of abuse, violence, or even social isolation. Majority of these patients who had hysterical symptoms had history of abusive households, of violent partners, of sexual abuse, of being from impoverished backgrounds, and even in the hospital themselves they were frequently isolated and discriminated. Pierre Janet, one of the students of Charcot, uh, found that and postulated that this trauma itself was the origin of these dissociative disorders. So by now, by the late 20th century, we got a brief understanding of what dissociation was. We came from initial a religious model to the understanding of psychodynamics and the role of sexual impulses to some extent. Then we found that hypnosis had a role in the treatment, and there were certain unconscious cognitions or unconscious impulses that led to it. Later on, the socio-cultural effects or the modeling of symptoms was shown in these patients. Gradually, with further research and more elaborative descriptions on these patients, a major role of trauma was found out. However, this entire research was in the Western countries. As globalization spread and the research in psychiatry spread to various other countries, including India, the cross-cultural presentations of dissociation was found out, and it was seen that possession and trance states were much more common in the Eastern countries, and these trance and possession states were somewhat similar to that of dissociative identity descriptions. With more further biological research was conducted into dissociative states, and certain biological uh, changes were also found out, such as changes in the evoked response potential or the EEG variability were different in these patients. So, certain neurobiological aspects also came into being. Now, let's talk about what the history of the various nosological classificatory systems has been in regards to dissociation. In the initial two editions of DSM, it was labeled as hysterical neurosis, being a part of anxiety or neurotic spectrum of disorders. With the third edition, the term dissociative disorders came into being, and the name remained the same as such. With the fourth edition, there were now specific criteria and specific descriptions of dissociative identity disorder and dissociative amnesia. Here we started to recognize the various subtypes and forms of dissociation. With DSM-5, we also describe dissociation occurring in other disorders, particularly in PTSD or acute stress reaction. And the understanding that trauma or stressor was necessary for dissociation was removed. That is, initially, till this period, it was understood that dissociation would only occur in the presence of trauma, and a diagnosis could not be established if a stressor or a trauma was not present in correlation. However, with DSM-5, the mandate to have a possible stressor and trauma was removed. Besides, the overall category of dissociative disorders was moved to a separate category and removed from the major category of trauma and stress related disorders. During this time also, conversion disorder has been kept in the classificatory system, but in DSM-5 it has been put under the somatic symptom and related disorders and not under dissociation. In ICD-10, the entire category of dissociative disorders and conversion disorders are kept in a single group of disorders, and these include amnesia, fugue, trance and possession disorders, motor disorders, sensory, convulsions. However, depersonalization and derealization disorder is a separate entity and not categorized under dissociation. Whereas in DSM-5, depersonalization and derealization is a part of the dissociative group of disorders. In ICD-11, the same category has been put together and the term conversion disorder has been removed in ICD-11. Besides, depersonalization has also been now combined into the group of dissociative disorders. So, with DSM-5, the dissociation term has been redefined as we discussed in the first slide, that dissociation is the loss of integration between various functions of the brain such as the behavior, memory, identity and motor control. Next, the DSM-5 also recognizes that these disorders can be acute, chronic and have a culturally diverse phenomena. The impact of culture on the phenomenology and presentation of dissociative disorders has also been acknowledged in DSM-5. Dissociation has been subcategorized into two forms by DSM. First is the positive dissociative states and second is the negative dissociative states. In positive dissociative states, a new function is generated or a new entity is produced in terms of various brain functions such as formation of a new identity or a new self state in dissociative identity disorders. Whereas in a negative dissociation state, there is a loss of already present entity of a brain function such as the absence of a memory of a particular period in dissociative amnesia. Three subcategories of three specific disorders are present in DSM-5. First is the dissociative identity disorder, which states that there are subjective differences between various self states and it also can have a possession and non-possession form. The possession form being the trance and possession disorders as are seen in our culture. The second disorder in DSM-5 under dissociative disorders category is the dissociative amnesia, and it has been subtyped into various forms: generalized, localized and selective, which we'll look for further in coming slides. And the dissociative fugue category, which is a separate diagnosis under ICD-10, is a subtype of dissociative amnesia here in DSM-5. The third disorder here is the depersonalization and derealization disorder, where the prominent feature are the feelings of detachment from themselves or from the surroundings or environment. So, in DSM-5, there are three specific disorders under dissociative category: the dissociative identity disorder, second, the dissociative amnesia, and third, the depersonalization, derealization disorders. Besides that, there are also other and unspecified disorders.